Okay, this is my last video for the year with regard to the airplane. I don't usually take a lot of videos, but here and there. So I just did my official first bath of the airplane, and I mean, you might think that's weird. I've owned this thing for a year and I've never washed it, but that's really not quite true. I've done a lot of spot cleaning. You'd be amazed what you can do with a rag and some simple green or even frankly water. You'd be amazed how you can clean up an airplane. So I've been doing that here and there. If you look at my blog and go back at previous posts, I've spent many hours underneath this thing cleaning up the bottom of it, but it's always been with a rag and some chemical, just wipe it clean kind of thing. And every time I'm done flying it, I get the bugs off. So this is Florida, so every time I come back, I got bugs smashed all over these leading edges. And as you can see, these leading edges are perfect. And that's thanks to me keeping them that way. And I do that and have been doing that ever since I had the airplane. But today was the first day that I actually got a bucket of soap and pulled out the hose and did the whole nine. And I'm actually quite impressed at how good it looks. I mean, it was painted in 1988, so you can't, I was 6, you know what I'm saying? So there's history here. And the airplane had 3,000 hours on it before I was even born. So there's history here that you can't erase. You can certainly try, and I'm gonna try. I'm gonna do it just comfortably over the next several years. Eventually it's gonna get a whole new modern looking paint job, and that's probably gonna be the most dramatic shift. I mean, right now I wanna keep it clean, I wanna keep it corrosion free, I'm gonna keep corrosion X in it, keep it in this hangar, do everything I can do to preserve it. It actually looks good. I mean, in many ways I'd be saying, why am I even gonna repaint this thing? But it's down the road. I'm thinking 4 years, 5 years. If I got 15 grand, burning a hole in my pocket, and I still love the airplane, then I'll have it painted, and it'll have a nice swoop scheme, and I'm not one of these originalists. I need to have it look like it did from the factory. Nah, I'm gonna have a nice, modern, swooped, very nice, elegant paint job on this thing. In fact, one of the first posts on my blog, I actually put a picture of what I want it to look like. And I really haven't deviated from that, even a year later. So if you go back and look at that post, that's basically what I want it to look like. But it's gonna look like this for a while. Anyway, so I wanted to show you, I mean, it's an airplane, there's not much to show you, but I did want to show you the bottom, because as any airplane owner knows, doing the bottom of the airplane is always the worst. And I did that today. I got on my back, water pouring in my face, the whole thing. And I got this thing looking as good as it can look. I think I can improve this. My mind tells me this might be some surface corrosion, but I think I actually improved that quite a bit, and I think I can keep improving it. There is some filiform corrosion, so it's not perfect under here, and I do have, that's another reason I may want to do the paint job, regardless of how good the paint looks, because there are little things like this, and frankly I can see them better now that I clean the bottom, but they're not everywhere by any means, but there's a respectable amount. I mean, it's actually on my agenda to get a piece of paper and sort of draw an airplane in different profile views, and then sort of mark where all the known corrosion is. That way I can sort of quantify it in my head. How big of a deal is this? And then I'll have a full record. And I'll take pictures and stuff, and I can sort of monitor it over the years. But this is filiform corrosion, so that's definitely a thing. But it's not going to ground the airplane or anything. It's just the kind of thing that will need to be addressed in the not too distant future. But all that said, you just look at how clean it is under here now. I'm pretty proud of myself. It took a lot of work. And you know, you may not be able to see on the video as well as I can in real life. But you know, it's not perfect, but it's pretty good. These antennas were caked, and I'm fortunate with this airplane to have an oil separator. I guess that's what they call it, an air oil separator. And it really does do a lot to mitigate the blow-by that occurs on the bottom of the airplane. But it looks really good, and but you know, it's not perfect. There are those little corrosion issues, and that's just how it is. But I washed the whole thing, I vacuumed it out, and it actually went flying. And the main reason I flew was twofold. Number one was to run the engine. I try to run this thing every single week, and I really had no agenda this week. I had nowhere to go, so I figured I'd just go up there and run it. So I think I flew 0.8 Hobbs. And the other reason was to dry it. So it air dried pretty well, but I really wanted to get 120 miles an hour wind blowing past this thing for 30 minutes and just really get it bone dry. So it's bone dry. I don't know of any water on it anymore. So, but it really looks good. I'm proud of it. It's a work in progress, but I don't know if I'm kind of learning that, I mean, unless you buy something mint, you know, right off the showroom, which who the hell can afford that? I think every airplane is a work in progress. I mean, you get it to a point where it's safe. I think this one is there. I've certainly been flying it for 100 hours, but it's going to have a pretty extensive annual in, well, late April and probably most of May, honestly. And that'll tell me a lot more. And I may even point out all that little bit of corrosion underneath. My mechanic might actually, he's pretty sharp. He might actually have the skill set to just take care of that for me. If he doesn't, he certainly knows a guy, and I frankly even know a guy, Brian Curry up at Flying Palomino could certainly do it. And then I'm going to have some avionics, some better avionics put in and stuff. So, but I'm pretty proud of what I've done with year one. I'm just about to close this door and walk away, and this will be the last time I see this airplane for this year, which sounds kind of funny because it's the 29th right now. But tomorrow we're going to go up to my dad's. It's kind of a little tradition we have, and hang out with the family, and I'll stay 2 nights with him, and I'll come back on the 1st, and then it'll be 2019. So this will be the last time I see the plane for 2018, but it's pretty interesting to think, you know, how far I've gotten. I remember what a clusterfuck this whole thing felt like when I bought it. And the mechanic that I had with me, I won't use his name, but the guy's a joke. I mean, he really is. And the whole thing was a circus, and I've hinted about that as I've written on my blog over the last year, and I really won't go into it any more than that, but I'm very, very happy to be using the guy that I'm using now. And the guy here in Bartow is fantastic. Brian, that I mentioned, is fantastic with what he does, but he's a body guy. He does cowlings, wings, and he does a great job. He is an A&P, but he's not really a mechanic. That's not what he does. He's a body guy. So if you need, if you need something done to the fuselage or a patch or a, he's your guy. And there's some of that coming up in my future. But as I sit here and look at this, I'm just very, very proud of what I've done in year one of airplane ownership. And this airplane struck gold with me compared to the condition it was in. And it certainly has put a tight belt around my wallet, but I'm handling it. I'm still happy about it. And I'm looking forward to 2019. Things are kind of in order now, but 2019 is going to be a good year. A lot of flying. I'll probably do 80 to 100 hours, something like that. in 2019. I don't know where I'll go, but I'll go some cool places, and a lot of the places I go will be just local, just hamburgers and whatnot. And I'm gonna make the panel a little bit better, get this thing through probably one of the most thorough annuals it's had in decades, probably. And all that's coming up, so I'm gonna put the football down here and enjoy my family for a couple days, and we'll pick it back up in January and keep on going. So that's where we are. So and I swept the floor again, so the hangar is once again clean. We had things pretty worked up in here earlier today. We had a car in here getting vacuumed and rags and buckets, and so after we cleaned up the plane, I had to kind of get it all back pretty again. That way when I close the door, I feel warm and fuzzy inside. All right, catch you later.